Shalom. Baruch haba, Ani Anthony. Hello and welcome. I'm Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us here at Sarid for our weekly Torah teaching on the coming of Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. At this time, I always take a minute to give all praise, honor, and esteem to Yahuwah Elohim for the great wisdom and understanding He has given us in His Word to share with you for these times that we are living in here and now. To the Kodashim out there, Towrah Rabbah, thank you so much for your comments and for your support. I trust that everyone had a joyous Purim celebration. I know that I did. And now that we are assembled, let's hear the words of Mosheh as he pronounces the Barakah on Yowceph. It is most important as Yahushua prepares the people for war. Shimon Petrus is then given a great crown to bring peace to the ends of the earth. Let's see how that plays out now. Devarim chapter 33, we'll begin the Adut in verse 16 this week, followed by the witness over in Yochanan chapter 21. We'll be looking at 9 through 12. With the precious things of the earth and its fullness. Then, as soon as they had come to land, they saw a coal of fires there, and fish laid on it, and bread. With the precious, the word there precious is meged, H4022, means excellent. It is from an unused root meaning to be eminent, excellent things of the earth. This is seen in Yochanan when it records, then as soon as they had come to the land, they had to get to the land to receive the excellent things of the earth that Moshe is describing in the Barakah. He said it is the earth and its fullness. This is noted down in Yochanan when they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid on it, and bread. This is fullness. If we pick up from last week, they had been fishing all night and caught nothing. When asked if they had any food, they replied no. But because they followed his instructions, he gave them an abundance of fish. He was just toying with them, just kicking it. They knew it. They knew it was Adonai. It was very excited to see him when they got to land. However, the first thing that catches everyone's eye are the fish and the bread on those coals. So they're glad to see him and are no doubt hungry as well. And the favor of him who dwelt in the bush. Yahushua said to them, bring some of the fish which you have just caught. This is favor, meaning goodwill and acceptance. They are hungry and invited to share a meal. Him in the verse that Moshe is speaking about is Yahushua. He's giving them favor as indicated in what he says to them down below. Bring some of the fish which you have just caught. He already has some on the coals, but more is needed to feed them all. So they can eat his while more is put on the coals. This is goodwill and acceptance. Sounds good to me. Yahushua is seen as him who dwelt in the bush. He dwelt there. This is indicating the fact that they believed this is Yahushua. They still don't know for certain, as the word is already revealed from last week. This is the same word for bush used to conceal the presence of Yahuwah when he showed himself, if you will, to Mosheh in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush that was not consumed by the flame of fire. to instruct him to go to Mitzrayim and tell Pharaoh to let the people go. He was sent to deliver the people out of bondage. Yahushua is a Dabi like Mosheh in every way. Only his deliverance is everlasting. And this is a beautiful picture of favor. Yahushua is clearly speaking to them, and they know it. They know it's him. Only they cannot recognize the visible manifestation of him. Yet, he's there. So they know, and they're going to kick it with it. Let it come on the head of Yowceph. Shimon Petrus went up and dragged the net to land full of large fish, 153, and although there were so many, the net was not broken. Let it come on the head of Yowceph. This is the Bereka. Let it come on the head. The word for head here is Rosh, 872:18. Definition number 7 says, head of a division, company, or band. This is Shimon Petrus. He was the first taught one called by Yahushua. He and his brother Andrew were casting a net into the sea when Yahushua first called him, for they were fishermen. He's the head, or the beginning of the 12 that were called by Yahushua. Mosheh sees this event as occurring on the head of Yowceph. Yowceph means Yahuwah has added. The verb means to add increase, to do again. To cause to add increase. So something causes the increase. This is clearly seen when Shimon Petrus went up and dragged the net to land. He had experience in fishing, being the head. It was his idea in the first place. It was full of large fish, 153, and this is the increase. And although there were so many, the net was not broken. Yahuwah caused that to happen to add increase. It's part of the Bereka, because although there was so much increase, it is magnified. The potential for great loss was looming if the net broke, being full of large fish. The verse records it was not broken, caused to add increase. So nothing was lost as well. This is the type of increase on the head of Yowceph. Also, something is being passed on here. Shimon is becoming the head of something. And on the crown of the head of him who was separate from his brothers. Yahushua said to them, come and eat breakfast. Yet none of the taught ones dared ask him, who are you? Knowing that it was Adonai. And on the crown of the head, the word for crown is katkod, H 6936. This is the top of the head. This is Yahushua down in Yochanan. He is seen as the crown of the head. So Shimon is becoming the head, and Yahushua here is the crown on the head, the top position on the head, the highest point. He called and taught the Lamodim, of which Shimon Petrus was the head, first one. The verb of katkod means to bow down. This is referencing to what Yahushua has done, seen in what he says to them. Come and eat breakfast. Although he was the crown, he fixed breakfast. He bowed himself to do that. But most notably in the line it says, on the crown of the head of him who was separate from his brothers. The word there for separate really identifies just how separate he was. The word used there is Nazir. Now when you replace Nazir in the place of separate, the reading in light of that then reads, and on the crown of the head of him who was Nazir from his brothers, the foretold one to come from among the brothers, the Nazir. Yahuwah said he would raise up one from among the brothers. Yahushua is standing here in the light of that now. Yowceph was separated from his brothers, most notably in the scripture of truth from ancient times, being sold by his brothers into slavery, where he eventually wound up in Mitzrayim as the second in command to Pharaoh. In this same way, Yahushua was sold out by Yehuda, Ish Kiryat, and winds up second in command to Yahuwah. His power now exalted, so much so his body being able to walk through doors and take on the appearance of not even being recognized, although he's standing right there. At his will, I might add. This type of stuff also makes him separate from his brothers, and also seen in what is stated concerning him. Yet, none of the taught ones dared ask him, "Who are you?" knowing that it was Adonai. They knew something was different about him now, yet it was him. No doubt about that. And besides that, they're hungry. So, let's eat. So here's a footnote down here. And the footnote is a reference point, and it shows where parts of Mosheh's words are identical to the words Yaakov spoke to his offspring before he died. So the Christians see where this was written from ancient times, knowing that it was Adonai, which makes you wonder how they got the names so twisted for this witness. The Torah needs no footnotes because Yahuwah made no mistake in the writing. The NU only does this to try to show people they have some level of competency over the scriptures, which to this point is just not the case. They know the truth and won't even recognize it with honor. They won't recognize it with honor. Won't recognize his name. For the record, what is written here by Mosheh is what is coming to pass for the Yadut. That's it. All of that other stuff does not line up here. Devarim chapter 33:17. We'll line up with Yochanan chapter 21. We'll be looking at verses 13 through 17. And because of the length of the verses to be surveyed, we will survey this one in the next frame. While we're here, we're just going to look at these footnotes. And the footnote will be explained since the NU has decided to change some more names here in the witness. Okay, we will look at one to make the case against all of them. There's a lot going on in these verses. That's because Ephraim and Manasseh, the children's children, are coming back to the Berit, the Banim, representing many generations. So we'll look at this one along the survey line. His Majesty is like a firstborn bull. Yahushua then came and took the bread and gave it to them, and likewise the fish. His Majesty, Hadar is an ornament, something of splendor and honor. This is seen in how he treated them, having gained their attention and respect. He begins to serve them. Yahushua then came and took the bread and gave it to them. This is likened to a firstborn bull, leader of the pack. The definition declares the head of cattle used for plowing for food and for sacrifice. The verb is used of a traveler, so he does likewise with the fish. Here the bull is plowing for food. This is what Mosheh sees, and he likens it to that. And his horns like the horns of the wild ox. This is now the third time Yahushua showed himself to his taught ones, the Lamudim, after he was raised from the dead. After he was raised from the dead. And his horns here, Mosheh begins to describe this thing. This is Yahushua down below in the line to survey. His horns, H7161 Karen, is a horn, and it has two definitions. The first is figuratively used of strength. The verb means to shine, to send out rays, to display or grow horns. Yochanan records, this is now the third time Yahushua showed himself to his taught ones. His strength allowed him to do that. He displayed himself. So it's next level stuff going on here. His horn was like the horn, or his strength was like the strength of a wild ox. Wild ox here. The word for ox, ra'am, is H7214. This is one of the great wild bulls which are now extinct, according to the definition there. The exact meaning is not known. However, the root of that word is H7213, and it means to rise. This is why it records after he was raised from the dead. And he did rise from the dead. Also, Korin, the word for horn there, the second definition is used here, saying, a place conquered by Yisrael, probably in Bashan. Bashan meaning fruitfulness. The place here that is conquered is death. He was raised from the dead. His body is the fruit of that, the evidence. Horn of a wild ox, only done in Yisrael. Awesome. Together with them, there we go. So when they had eaten breakfast, Yahushua said to Shimon Petrus, Shimon ben Yonah, do you love me more than these? Okay? Do you love me more than these? So we'll get to these footnotes here. My click sequence was out of order. Let's just start with together. This is Yahushua and Shimon Petrus. As we survey these lines, Yahushua, because of his horn of power and majesty, is the crown of the head. And Petrus is the head. Yowceph here. Yahuwah has added him from the earlier lines of survey. They are together, and that is seen in the witness of Yochanan. So when they had eaten breakfast, Yahushua said to Shimon Petrus, so the two are together talking, and they are talking about them. Okay, as Mosheh puts it, together with them. And them is noted in the conversation when Yahushua says, Shimon ben Yonah, do you love me more than these? That's who them is. It's a Torah teaching. I have to point that out and show it. Then there is the first of three footnotes. Okay. The footnote reads, chapter 21, verse 15 through 17, 15, 16, and 7. The word John is used there and not Yonah. Okay? So first we have to see what's going on and why these people are not on the same page with this witness in the Texas Receptus. They seem to have a problem with Yonah being used, and all of this is together with them. So I'm going to explain this once for all, because there are 3 times that Yonah is mentioned, and all 3 times his name is taken out and John is put there. So for Yonah, the word used in most of today's manuscripts is the word Jonah, spelled with the J, no Y. G2495 is Eonis. It is used 11 times in what we know as the New Testament, the Brit Chadashah. Of the 11 times used in the Brit Chadashah, 7 refer to the ancient Nabi called Yonah, when he was swallowed by the fish. When Yahushua made reference to him, there is no footnote to change the word to John in any of those 7 accounts, as you see here. When you go there to the other 7 times it is used, no footnotes for 7 out of 11. Okay? Of the 4 other times the word for G2495 is used in the Brit Chadashah, there is a footnote for each recorded account, including the 3 here for this survey. There's 2 more to come here. This is done to add confusion. That's because they are lying. If you're going to change the name, then change it across the board, all 11 times. Seems they have lied so much they can't keep up with how many changes they have made. Can't keep up with everything. The understanding on the Greek word there for G2495, Eonis, is dove. That word is of Hebrew origin, and it takes you to an Hebrew word. And the Hebrew word is the word on the Mitzbeach part of the screen. G3124 is Yonah. I have it right here in the survey line. Okay? It means dove as well. That means this Hebrew word was there before any of those changes took place. Yonah, Jonas, and Eonis are 3 different words with the same meaning. Anything other than Yonah is a false witness, because Yonah is a proper noun. It is a landmark that identifies someone. Okay? An even more glaring problem is found in the latest footnote change to John. How on earth did they get there? Evidently, the NU is saying neither of those 3 words were there, or they took it to mean John in the Texas Receptus. Either way, all of them together got this wrong. This is the Greek word for John, what we know as John, Yochanan, is G2491. See it up on the screen. You see it there at the very top. The Hebrew origin there is Yochanan. Yochanan is the author of this account. Okay, the word for Yonah here, right below G2495 here, when you compare those 2, right off the bat, one word is shorter than the other. And they have 2 different reference numbers. That should have stood out as the first clue that the 2 are different right there. Secondly, they mean 2 different things. Okay? Yochanan means Yahuwah has favored. And Yonah simply means a dove. What happened to Yonah is only mentioned in the Brit Kadashah because Yahushua was going to use what happened in that account, that ancient account, to symbolize what he was going to accomplish and the sign that is given to the whole world from that time forward. Since the people wanted a sign from him, this was another reason he chose Shimon ben Yonah. He calls him that in speaking to him. See it on the screen. He says Shimon ben Yonah. That's because he was the ben of Yonah. It is recorded in Yochanan chapter 1, verse 42, which happens to be where the other change to John is seen in the footnote there. There were 4 changes. It's going to be 3 here in these lines, and the other one is Yochanan chapter 1, verse 42 there. You'll see it. That's the 4th time they did it. These changes occur in the New King James Version. This is the only version where the war is taking place with the Towrah. Okay? Yahushua has already spoken and said in Matthew chapter 16:4, saying, "A wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the Nabi Yonah." And he left them and departed. It's the end of the verse there. He is setting up the sign of Yonah here now in these verses. That's what's going on. Shimon is being set up to lead the way to bear the witness of repentance through what Yahushua has accomplished, being 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb, a symbol of the fish belly and death. He came out just like Yonah, and Yonah bore witness. Yahushua is going to use Shimon for that. He's going to use Shimon for that part, bearing the witness. The word ben means to build and cause to establish. Shimon is being used to build off the story of Yonah, ben Yonah. He's building on it, ben Yonah. And he's going to do it with them. With them. These are the Lamodim. That's who these are in the line of Yochanan. Mosheh said them. That's who he's talking about, the taught ones. Only Shimon is singled out to lead the way. Do you love me more than these? He shall push the peoples to the ends of the earth. He said to him, "Yes, Adonai, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Feed my lambs." This is Yahushua, pushing Petrus with that question, to which he responded by saying to him, "Yes, Adonai, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Feed my lambs." Feed them. The word for feed is G1006. It is Bosco. Bosco is passing on a duty as a teacher to promote in every way the spiritual warfare of those believing in Yahushua. Okay? Feed my lambs. Bosco G1006. The lambs belong to Yahushua. Okay? Arneon G721. The word for lamb is a little lamb, seen as the people. People who have yet to hear and understand this account as it relates to Yahushua and the things that he warned about throughout this witness. Yahushua is pushing Shimon to feed the peoples to the ends of the earth. Eretz is used of the earth and its inhabitants in the definition. This word for end, H657, Aphes, is speaking to both the limits of the earth, as in spreading the message, as well as the end of it, period, finality, or cessation. Till it all comes to a halt, feed the lambs. They are the 10,000s of Ephraim. He said to him again a second time, Shimon ben Yonah, do you love me? And he said to him, yes, Adonai, you know that I love you. He said to him, tend my sheep. They are the 10,000, Rababa. Rababa means to become many. They are many of Ephraim. Ephraim, H669. This is one of the Banim of Yowceph, the offspring of Yowceph, given to him in a foreign land. These are the people scattered to the ends of the earth, foreign lands. The response to this down in Yochanan can be seen in the meaning of Ephraim. The name means ash heap, place of fruitfulness. An ash heap is something that is left over after something has been burned, ashes. He said to him again a second time. It's already been burned once. Shimon ben Yonah, do you love me? He said to him, yes, Adonai, you know that I love you. This has already been burned, if you will. This is the ashes of it. This is where the place of fruitfulness is seen in the response from Yahushua. He said to them, tend my sheep. He goes from feeding the lambs, little ones, to now being asked to tend the sheep. These are the older ones that are not lambs. G4165 means to tend a flock, to rule and govern, to nourish, furnish pasture for food, set up a place to teach. See example there. It is used meaning to cherish one's body, to serve the body. And lastly, it means to supply the requisites for the soul's need. This is the fruitfulness of tending. It's fruitfulness in the ashes. The tending there is tending the soul. The root is metaphorically used of the presiding officer, manager, or director of an assembly. It is also used of kings and princes. This is what he was being asked to be, a shepherd, okay, or a king. A shepherd in the Near East was responsible for watching out for enemies that were trying to attack the sheep, defending the sheep from attackers, healing the wounded and sick sheep, finding and saving lost or trapped sheep, loving them, sharing their lives to earn their trust. Fruitfulness. In this way, the root of Ephraim comes into play as it relates to people. The root means to branch off and to be fruitful, to cause to bear fruit. When you earn their trust, you then cause them to bear fruit. They are Yahushua's sheep. Probaton. The word for sheep there, G4263, is a tame animal accustomed to grazing. Okay, they're accustomed to a certain type of food, certain type of feeding. The root is identifying with stepping or walking. Help them with their walk. Tend to that. The footnote is also being fruitful. It's being fruitful as well. It's the same one as above. This is bad fruit. Goats that have not been tended to bear fruit. These are not the sheep here. It's the same one. They changed the name again. They are the thousands of Manasseh. And he said to him the third time, Shimon ben Yonah, do you love me? Petrus was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me? Then he said to him, Adonai, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Yahushua said to him, feed my sheep. He didn't understand what was being fulfilled here. Yahushua had to speak in order to fulfill the adut. As we survey the lines, and they are the thousands. H505, Aleph means thousand as a number. Also, a company of men under one leader. Troops. The root H504 is used of farming cattle or oxen as a possession. The verb is then used there. It is Aleph. Aleph is here, the first letter of the Hebrew lettering system, meaning to teach or learn, to associate with. Aleph Tah. Since the Aleph is here, these are to learn and associate with the Hebrew. They are the thousands of Manasseh. Manasseh H4519 means causing to forget. People don't forget here. This is another of the Banim of Yowceph. Scattered to the ends of the earth, they have forgotten the Hebrew. So they have to be reminded about the Aleph Tah. Something has caused them to forget it. The verb means to deprive, to allow to be forgotten. They are the thousands of Manasseh. So they have to be reminded again. And this has now come into play down in Yochanan. So he said to him the third time, Shimon ben Yonah, do you love me? We know me, this is Yahushua. For the Christians who have forgotten their roots from where they started, Petrus was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me? As though he might forget. The word for grieved means sorrowful, to cause grief, to offend, to make one uneasy, or cause him a scruple. This is, in the definition, this is a feeling of doubt or hesitation with regards to the morality or propriety of a course of action, as though he might forget. After all, we're dealing with Manasseh here in the survey line. The message is there are going to be a lot of people coming back to worship Yahuwah, thinking they don't have to follow the rules written in the Towrah with the instructions for worshiping Yahuwah. They most likely have forgotten that nothing was done away with. They have been taught a lie and forgot to go and check behind these people. The false prophets are the ones causing them to forget the covenant. Manasseh means causing to forget, and there are a lot of preachers out there designed to do that. Designed to be deceitful. Be careful, because it causes grief. Grief to the unbeliever. You see it in the survey line. His word is lined up to testify of these things. He said to him, Adonai, you know all things. You know that I love you. Yahushua said to him, feed my sheep. Feed them just like the lambs. Help them know. This is knowledge. Feed them. Bosco. Bosco is passing on a duty. We looked at this before. G1006. Passing on a duty as a teacher to promote in every way the spiritual warfare of the members, believing in Yahushua. Feed my lambs, feed my sheep. Wage war. Sheep need to be fed and tended. They have to be tended to because they come under attack and need someone to watch out for the wolves. You can see the wolves scattered throughout the verses of this message that have come down through the ages. The message was written down for the generations coming back to find the ancient paths. Only there's going to be deception all along the way, all the way through. Just like you see in those footnotes. 3 times changing the names. See it on the screen, together with them. So choose your witness carefully. The word has spelled it out yet again. So don't forget. Amen. So get ready. The time is coming when another lie is going to be put before the people, causing you to forget the truth. So don't forget the truth found in this message. And remember, your everlasting life depends on it. So be on guard at all times, because deception is all around us. Towrah for watching with us here at Sarid. If you have not already, go ahead and subscribe. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpat. Lead Road. See you later.